On today's video, I turned down my FOV and wished I didn't. I won a game with 2 lifelines, and could one of these 2 beasts be the best weapon of Season 13? But first, someone in the comments is going to accuse me of cheating. How does he have no recoil, and how is he lasering people from half a block away with the R99? Calling me a hacker, are you? Well, my name's Ragtag, the greatest gutter-tier gamer on the face of this earth, and my adventure started with me trying a loadout I had no business using with a legend I had forgotten even existed. Diving into the streamer building after 72 consecutive deaths, I wondered, why did I pick Lifeline anyway? The things we do to breathe life into a battered soul. But in this building, any 2 will do, and today, that would be the R99 and the RE45, combining their powers to make the Reap 144. Octane's voice line calling out the incoming squad fell on deaf ears as I looted the death box, but as you probably know, bullets are quite a bit louder than words. As my drone mended the Wingman wounds, I tried to remember that this was a trios game and that our third team member had left after character selection. The guy had an itchy nose, alright, shut your mouth! Could I continue such precision aiming with this ridiculous loadout? Had I ascended to new levels of skill, or perhaps it was because I'd increased my game IQ from today's no wait, there was a sponsor, but now there isn't. This is awkward. Subscribe to Janks? Anyway, both the R99 and the RE45 were suddenly contenders for the best weapon of the season. Enemy Wraith tried to make a portal for the heroic save for her team, but I was in Cobra Kai kind of mood today. No mercy and no revive. Octane heard the commotion on Fragment East and wanted to get involved, but the harder someone tries to pull off a banner rescue, the more... okay, look, I'm a banner camping scumbag, and when you're rocking the... it brings out the worst in us. Among the smoky rubble, Octane was desperate to smash his enemies to dust, and a jump pad would be our method of delivery, but my fearless teammate was about to learn the consequences of going first. As I fell down, realizing I'd been utterly duped, my ego became bruised, tenderized, and the only response to being made a fool of is to, well, start mashing your keyboard, of course, and make everything 10 times worse. Yes, it was, but I definitely needed to calm down, and when a freshly resurrected enemy threatened to step back onto the turbulent landscape of Fragment, I surprisingly found my composure along with a deadly accuracy that surprised even me. The killing blow is all that anyone remembers anyway. Besides, with the ring closing at the end of round 1, I was about to be given a chance at aiming redemption because an enemy team spied the hopeful escape of the zipline, but Rag Gatekeeper Tag was ready to inform them that the way is shut. Full send! Ho! Yes, so when you're getting shot at from outside the heat shield, apparently spam crouching isn't the definition of taking cover, but that's what teammates are for, to correct minor errors of judgment and put... Hey, there's a Revenant reviving here! Murder that Robo-Man dead, Octane! Obliterate him from the plane of Good job. Let us continue. And continue we did. 5 squads left and we hiked towards Skyhook, with me feeling that the R99 had edged out the RE45 as contender for weapon of the season, but the RE144 still felt immensely powerful as a duo. Speaking of duo, we would have to bear in mind that even though our squad had rinsed this lobby so far, we were still in fact in a trios game, but that didn't mean if multiple squads were fighting each other that we couldn't take a look. Octane barely escaped with his life and we had to rethink our endgame strategy. But just as he was ready to leap back into the battle from whence we came, he didn't realise there were enemies above us ready to strike.
'em.
I think someone just arc-starred themselves to death there. You'll never catch me blowing myself up with a grenade. Ever.
Are you sure about that?
Anyway, only 2 other squads standing between us and victory, and one of them decided to boldly jump right on top of our heads. Seconds left of the round and a full team of 3. I'm good, but I'm not that good. Seems like we found the other squad as well.
We have some batteries.
In the safety of the building, I knew we had no chance to win this game unless the other 2 teams fought first, and nothing could convince me to leave the safety of this place, except the sound of a heat shield being placed at the edge of the ring. Gibraltar threw his ultimate down. We didn't get the knock to justify the push. Now simply wasn't the time.
Let's go zone, okay?
Good call, pal. To the zone we go and wait for our enemies to come to us. But they didn't come to us. Still not bad, and apparently there were 2 lifelines in that game. However, in the battle of the SMGs between the RE45 and the R99, the winner is the car SMG. But is that the best weapon of the season? I think not. For that, we'd be looking at something a little more impactful, and in the next game I had a settings crisis because I lowered my FOV in the hope that it would help my long-suffering matches involving Wingman. And if this gun was going to compete for the top spot of weapon of the season, perhaps zooming in my field of view might give me the edge I needed. Wrong! With me playing Seer, my favourite legend of the season, I tried to encourage my loot-hungry teammates to engage in the battle for Olympus, move away from the rift and face the dangers of Energy Depot, where I could put my IQ 9000 setting strategy into play. Turned out that even though caustic was a huge problem right here, a Valkyrie would be the one causing me the most pain. And by a Valkyrie, I mean that purple death box blocking the door.
On my way, son!
Alright, okay, well let's just call that a calibration of this new setting still to be resolved, but it was too soon to give up on the Wingman. Perhaps I'd need a more reliable second weapon to accompany it. You know, I'm something of a Bocek user myself. This felt weird. Zooming in the field of view made everything feel a bit slower. It was like running with a backpack full of rocks in a muddy swamp. So it was no wonder that when we ran up the hill towards the phase runner that there were only half the squads left in this game, but finally, we were going to give the Wingman its true test. Oh no. Oh, he's not even looking at me. Oh, fine. The Bocek. Wait. The Bocek! Unaware bloodhounds were all over the place, but sooner or later, I'd come across opponents who would shoot back. Later then. This felt like one of those games where enemies didn't have a clue what was going on all around them, so it was my civic duty to chase down the Octane from the enemy team and put him out of his misery. Scanned and he was frozen with fear. Don't worry, Octane, I'll make it quick. Apparently I had already forgotten that I was destroyed in the first fight of this game and the Wingman experiment was a bust. What did I think was going to happen? That maybe if I lowered my field of view everything would get better, I'd hit more shots, champagne would fall from the skies and rose petals would appear beneath every step I took? No, the only way it could continue now was to return my FOV to what it was, and instead of my usual 104 I juiced it to the max. With 6 squads left in this game though, I was about to discover the most dangerous enemies I'd seen this week, and worse, their aim was terrifying. There it was, the enemies who shot back and shot well. I was losing the toe-to-toe battle and it was only going to get worse. Two Valkyries extended on the front line and ours was hurt, but could I get an angle on this villain? Once again, good team play and my boldness was met with a fury that I didn't have the skill to overcome. The round 2 ring was closing behind us, a place you never want to be when enemies can gatekeep from the safe side of the zone. It was now or never. I needed to get this Phoenix kit off to be able to survive this epic showdown, but the time it took to drink in the heals turned the tide of this battle to bring about a nail-biting conclusion. One HP and every muscle in my body was clenched, but that victory is for everyone who has ever been punched out of the game by an overzealous opponent, and if I'm not mistaken, the replay will show that Loba used to be an adventurer like me, but sadly took an arrow to the knee. It didn't matter if we won this game or not, the Wingman had done its job. The Bocek had achieved a usefulness of legendary proportions, of which tales will be told. Well, just this tale to be honest, but we were ready for the final showdown of this match and Valkyrie took us to the skies to locate our final opponents, and it wasn't long before we would all meet. But the fight had finished as I arrived and this game had turned from Wingman to Boceks for everyone. there we have it, game number 2. The Bull would easily sail through to the final round, and while you might be wondering what happened to every other gun in the game, I have to stretch my content across the entire season, guys. And besides, I'm not making another charge rifle or Spitfire video, so I dropped into World's Edge once more with Lifeline, looking to compare the Bocek with the only other weapon I hadn't considered top tier for average players who need to cheese their damage to look good, the longbow. Trouble is, once I saw a golden Bocek, there was no way I'd run both of these weapons at the same time, so we'd save that for another day. But a Lobo was skulking around Big Mod, a chance to put the alternator to the test and compete for the top spot of Season 13. Turned out the Lobo was shooting at me with a golden longbow, so Providence would prevail on this day and...
Nice job, bro.
Thank you, teammate. Yes, I fought well, but perhaps the bemused laughter would turn to rage if he knew what I was now rocking, because it was 2 types of bow as this loadout. Probably one of the dumber things I've done in a while, but when I tried to push towards Fragment with our Ash, Gibraltar had found himself in a bit of a situation. It's suppressive fire, guys, alright? Shut it! Also, Ash, thanks for reviving Gibby, but you do have a life... never mind. My enemy's confidence grew, and in they came. Eight squads left, and even though the ring gently cooked our insides, we were the victors of this zone and felt comfortable bringing Gibraltar back to a mountain of death boxes. Somehow, the long Bocek loadout was working. By the time we'd pushed westward, round 2 was threatening to close and the end game was already upon us. Gunfire from staging area drew our attention, and even though this match was nearing its end stages already, my loadout had only been tested but once. That was brave, opening the door and punching in the air. What's going on with Bloodhounds today? Cleared out the building, but this wasn't over yet. Oh, wait. Oh, come on, that stupid paint bullets! Now we could calmly third party whatever was going on outside. Bangalore was not expecting a thermal scope from that range, and Ash portaled us to the superior position, where upon arriving we heard a scrumptious sound. Hello! Whoops. Ow. While I am unsure whether or not anyone would take this loadout seriously, a hefty dose of right place, right time really does do wonders no matter what you're using. But the longbow was definitely holding its own in this game versus the mighty Bocek. But could it really be a contender for the best weapon of Season 13? Maybe not, but if you asked the final team what they thought, they might have a different answer. Care package came down and a new contender entered the arena.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, so they had some skill that was to be respected, but we had the position of the ring. They knew they'd have to break through before round 4 ended, and we knew we'd be looking to pick them off on their way to us. Wraith made the first move, a portal. The message to Horizon was clear. If you've got a question, the longbow has the answer. Gibraltar tipped the scales in our favour with a knock on the Pathfinder, and it looked as if this game was ours. However, the enemy Wraith had aim that made me rethink those chances. Round 4 was closing. If that team wanted to live, they'd have to do something truly spectacular. And that's when Horizon sprung a trap from the low ground.
To my little friend!
I barely escaped, but escape I did, meaning that now there was only one terrifying Wraith left to deal with. And there you have it, the best weapon of Season 13 is the Mastiff. Partly because it has the most ludicrous stopping power in the game, but mainly because it got the final elimination of this video, which is as good a rationalization as any tier list could ever give you, and if it isn't, I don't care.